A man classified as Hanover's most wanted, O'Brien Garvey, was apprehended by the St. James Police during a targeted operation in Marl Road, Mount Carey, St. James, on Friday. 27-year-old Garvey, who goes by three aliases, ISIS, F1 and Rambo, was wanted for wounding with intent in relation to an incident in McCreary District in Hopewell, in April. A 6-year-old boy, his mother and his grandfather all sustained bullet wounds during the incident. Garvey had been on the run for 4 months. The Hanover police labeled him as armed and dangerous. The St. James police have charged 28-year-old Wesley Reid, otherwise called Oshane, in connection with a triple murder in Roehampton, St. James, on June 2. Reid was charged with 3 counts of murder, possession of a prohibited weapon, and using a firearm to commit a felony. The charges relate to the deaths of 38-year-old Conroy Lawrence, otherwise called Beanie, a warehouse attendant, 38-year-old Chevin Gordon, otherwise called King Kong and Kong Terry, a Tyler, and 56-year-old Carlsley Morris, otherwise Shada, a taxi operator, all of Roehampton, St. James. The Montego Bay police say about 9:20 p.m. residents reportedly heard explosions and alerted them. Upon their arrival, Gordon and Lawrence were seen lying beside a shop with chop wounds to their heads, and Morris was seen close by with gunshot wounds. All 3 men were taken to the hospital, where they were pronounced dead. An investigation was launched and Reid was arrested. He was charged on Saturday after being questioned in the presence of his attorney. PICA to probe incident in which job-born visitor threatened with arrest. The Passport Immigration and Citizenship Agency, PICA, is investigating an incident at Norman Manley International Airport in the early hours of last Friday, August 11th, where a Jamaican national entering the country was threatened by an immigration officer with possible arrest. Andrew Winter, head of PICA, told the Gleaner that an investigation has been launched to determine the course of action to be taken. I am aware of the incident. I got the email from the offended visitor and reached out to apologize. We are investigating the incident. We need to be able to de-escalate incidents, and if training is warranted we will undertake such action, he told the Gleaner. Dr. Rochelle White, a deputy superintendent of schools in Brooklyn, New York, outlined in an email to Winter that she and her 24-year-old son arrived at the airport at 3 a.m. on Friday, August 11th. She noted that after deplaning and upon arrival at the immigration section of the airport, they proceeded to the kiosks, as she normally does on arrival to the island. She said that on this occasion the kiosk was not working. I was met by a male agent who asked for my passport that he scanned. When the machine didn't work, he said rudely, "How did you get to this kiosk?" I answered that I walked over to it like I normally do in the past. He asked, "Did I invite you to the kiosk?" I said, "No, I didn't see you or anyone else to direct anyone as to where to go." He rudely said, "Get to the back of the line." When my son and I walked to the line, we realized that the line went all the way back to the hallways as the people had amassed since we deplaned, her email stated. She said that the officers acted very unprofessionally and were rude. I arrived in the country of my birth with my son, who had not visited Jamaica for some 10 years, and this treatment is absolutely unacceptable, unwarranted and unfortunate, because that experience will forever be etched in my son's memory, she said. Socially distanced. She said that she shared with another agent who was said to be a nurse, that she was recovering from COVID-19, 3 weeks now, and wished to stand off to the side and wait until it was our turn to be processed. We ended up standing in the line that said special services. The supervisor came over to my son and I and said my son and I cannot be in the line because we would not be processed. I walked off that line and waited over to the side so as not to be in community with 300 to 400 passengers who are not socially distanced. He said he would not speak to me if I don't get on the line, she said. She said that after waiting for more than an hour, the immigration officer rudely told us he would not process us together and for me to back away from his desk. I asked what was the problem. My son and I are traveling together. He became irate and said that he won't process any of us. My son then told him he would back up so that I can be processed. I handed him my passport and immigration form and rested my phone on the counter. He asked whose phone it was and I told him it was mine. He then said, "You need to turn your phone off." I showed him the phone and said it's off and has been off. He again became irate and began berating me, saying that he will not process my documents, and then called my son up to be processed. My son went up, handed him his passport and form and asked the officer, "Why are you disrespecting my mother like that?" He responded, "Your mother is rude and has an attitude." Confrontational manner. She said that when her son questioned the treatment being meted out by the officer, he came from behind the desk in a confrontational manner asking what he was going to do about it. She said that the officer approached her son and she had to de-escalate the situation. He began a tirade of how I think I'm special and who told me I was special. He threatened that he was going to land my son and charge him for being disrespectful. He took my son's documents and went in a room to his supervisor. When he came back out, he asked if I was born in Jamaica and I responded yes. He shared that he can land me and send my son back to New York. I told him that he can send us both back because I would not have my son return to NY without going with him, she recounted. He then went back to the room and the supervisor called my son into the room. She spoke to my son and told him that he is to apologize to the officer. My son shared that he has no problem apologizing to him, but that he too owed me an apology for being disrespectful. I am concerned that had I not known Jamaica and was a first-time visitor, that would be the lasting impression that I have. I am requesting a retraining of all immigration officers, but particularly for the officer and supervisor to create a welcoming and affirming environment when individuals visit this country. Tourism is a large part of the economy of Jamaica and these experiences will greatly deter visitors, she said.